The Greek-Roman temples, they were still Egyptian deities, still in Egypt, but during the Greek-Roman. This temple was dedicated to the creator god, the main god of Islam. One of the major created deities in Egypt, I mean the god Khnum, the ram-headed deity, the creator god of Elephantine Island, and the creator god of the mankind. They believe that the god Khnum was always creating or shaping the mankind on the potter's wheel. You know the potter's wheel?
The potter's wheel.
So, yes. So he was always shaping the man on the potter's wheel, and I want you to notice this because according to the holy books of these three major religions, I mean Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, Adam was created out of clay or dust to dust, ashes to ashes. You know? So that he was created out of clay, and that's exactly what the ancient teaches. The temple we are going to visit was built during the Ptolemaic time, but towards the end, but it was decorated during the Roman time. By the way, the Greeks and the Romans, when they were building any temple or any deity from ancient Egypt, they were rebuilding the temples on the traces of the old. We know that there was a temple. They were just copies from the other temples. One of the things here, the amount of mistakes we have in hieroglyphics, right, by or during the Roman era. I have to tell you that this temple was used as a magazine for the gunpowder. Till the time of Muhammad Ali Pasha, the governor of Egypt, during the beginning of the 19th century, the founder of the last royal dynasty of Egypt, when he changed the idea and it became a magazine for the cotton. Of course, for us now, the archaeologists now far better to keep the cotton than the gunpowder inside the temple. So that's where they were storing the cotton during the time of Muhammad Ali until the temple afterwards was here. That's not a complete temple, just a preliminary. Here, usually in front of any temple would find the pylon, right? Like what we saw yesterday, the pylons, open court, that leads to the colonnade or the hypostyle. Hypostyle all means celebration. And that's where we will find the columns. Then the antechamber, which leads to the holy place. That's the plan of a very simple temple. All what we have here is this colonnade. Before we start to go around, I want to tell you that all the paintings, all the colors which you see here, these are not paintings. These are not paintings. This is uncovering of the original colors by the Ministry of Antiquities now. And by the way, and something I'm very proud of, most of this work was done by girls.
Yes.
Seriously.
By what?
Here and in Khnum. Right? And they were, but it shows how much these girls were well trained. Of course, there are some also men with them, but I'm talking mainly about these girls because I'm proud of what they do. By the way, the president had to visit them, not here, but in Karnak temples, because they also restored some of the sides there, the columns, and you can see the original colors back here. Any questions so far? This way, please.
All right.
This scene here, we can see the Roman Emperor, Claudius, while he's represented here in a typical, traditional Egyptian procession, gathering his enemies by the hair, smiting them with his scepter. And he's doing this in front of the main deities here. I mean the god Khnum, the ram-headed god, who's giving him the sword of victory. As you can see up there, behind him, one of the different aspects of the goddess Hathor, we can see her with the two horns of the cow, the goddess Nile. She was the fish, and she was one of the major deities in here. Well, I want to show you, we have a text here, written in hieroglyphics. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay. Have a look at this. There is a man riding a horse. Can you see that? Over there.
Oh yeah, I see
Yes.
it.
Right? Actually, he's dancing with his stick and his hand. And this is a very common scene. You can still see it until nowadays in Upper Egypt. In their celebrations, in their weddings, you will find the knight on his horse dancing with his cane, with his stick in his hand. That's great, wonderful. But the ancient Egyptian didn't see the horses until the Hyksos invaded Egypt. And that's during the second intermediate period, which means that he wouldn't use it in his language, or in his writing, right? Something he never saw before.
Right.
He will not use it. But that one of the mistakes, because they wanted to say that, so all what they did, that they added this, right? That he's dancing with his stick on the horse, but this is the ancient, that's one of the mistakes, as a matter of fact. There is a trench, they just covered it, as you can see, with these rubbles. The raising up of the water table, it's one of our major problems, especially with our antiquities. And because this temple is below the level of the city, so we are closer to the water table. This way, please. Oops, we close it. شغال؟ طيب. الباب اللي ورا مفتوح؟ الباب اللي ورا مقفول؟ الباب اللي ورا مقفول. طيب بس هنبص على الحاجه وجاي. بس هنا يعني ماشي. Okay, all right, no problem. He's insisting that not to go. No. I mean, I wanted to show you something in the back. They are musical because they are doing some restoration. By the way, for very long time, we used these colorful pots. You can see they were covered with the soot. It's black. But that soot protected the original color. Nucesis, it means that the site was inhabited before. And by the way, where I was trying to go back over there, in that area there was a church, Christian church. I want you to go by this door. You can use your camera. You can take a wonderful shot from there for a mosque and a church via an Egyptian temple. Have a look at it. Capitals, the columns here, will find them completely different than the ones we saw in Luxor Temple or the ones we are going to see in Khnum. Wherever you go, we found that the capitals of the columns are taking the shape of different flowers and leaves together. That's straight ahead Greco-Roman era. If they were taking these two shapes, I mean papyrus or lotus, that's pharaonic time, that's Egyptian time, right? So the capitals of the columns are telling us that it's dating back to the Greco-Roman era. And as I told you, they were just copying scenes from all the temples. We can have a look at one of these scenes, one of the areas. One. This scene was copied from Abydos. Who was asking me about the goddess Seshat, the goddess of knowledge? Who's the lady who was asking me about the goddess Seshat? Is she here? Right. In this scene here, we can see the king between the god Horus and the god Khnum, the major god, here in this temple. Notice what they have in their hands: a rope. They are doing a club net, and inside this club net, you can see the waterfalls, you can see the fish, you can see the plants. They are representing the enemies of Egypt. So the enemies of Egypt, they are under the control of the king with the help of the god Khnum and the god Horus. While there at the back, we can see the goddess Seshat. We are not going to see her a lot. You all know the god Thoth, the ibis-headed deity, the god of wisdom. Seshat, she was the goddess of knowledge. I was looking for you.
Yes, I've heard.
Seshat, she was the goddess of knowledge, and she was equal to the god Thoth, but on a female side. If you have a look, you can see the journey of the deities on their boat. Right in front of us, we can see the king while he's depicted here dancing in front of the deities. And right here, in the next one, in front of the god Khnum, while he's killing or cutting the emperor. On the other side, we have, by the way, one of the mistakes in this temple. The texts you can see in these columns. Wherever you go, you will not see texts, complete texts written on columns here, obviously, that they were filling the empty space, because as I said, they were just copying from the ancient temples. This is one of the common mistakes in here. We never used to see Egyptian, but during the Roman era. Right? And by the way, at that time, the hieroglyphic wasn't used a lot. So that's why there are some mistakes. Like this. They wanted to show how many rams were dedicated to the god Khnum. Can you see them?
Yeah.
Right? So to do that, they had to repeat them. While the ancient Egyptians, he never did that. He would put the god Khnum and the number.
Oh, smart.
Right next to it. Right, so this is also one of the mistakes. Obviously, that they didn't know the numbers, so that's why they had to repeat it. Here, please. The offerings? Yes. Well, the offerings, there were many things. There were the hinqat, which is the beer, the water, and the bread, and here it's the linens. Right. By the way, Esna was famous for linen during the ancient times. The linen.
Linen.
The linen.
Linen.
If you have a look up there, you can see all the zodiac signs we know to be depicted on the ceiling, right, of this temple. Right here, we can see the Romans in front of the major deities here, bringing them the offerings, right? And you'll find them depicted with different crowns. That's the god Min, the one we were talking about, that he was the god of fertility. Why he was the god of fertility? As a matter of fact, according to a legend from ancient Egypt, that there was a battle or a war between two groups, two villages, two tribes. So the men in that village, in that community, they all left it for this war. They spent a long time fighting that their women thought that they were killed or lost. And after, they left behind them also a handicapped man. That's what they did. There was no need for them in this battle. So when they went, they came back and found the village full with children. What was the reason? The handicap. Right. So they made him the god of fertility. And that's why they used to represent him like the, by the way, he was one of the different aspects of the god Amun. That's why we can see him with the two feathers of the goose, right? But with his main organ of it. Ancient Egyptian, he was a farmer. And the most important thing for any farmer is fertility. That's life. If I ask you what's the most important thing for a farmer would be always thinking about what? You might say irrigation, land, animals, right? But if you want to gather everything under one word, it would be fertility. And that's why men was one of the major deities in Egypt, because he was the god of fertility. And yesterday, when we saw the god Happy, the god of the Nile, the one with a flabby stomach and a flabby breast. This is symbolizing fertility because he was the god of the weather.
Men. Men. I don't know how to say those men.
On the sea, we can see the god Tah, the god of darkness, and we can see some scenes showing us scenes from the underworld and of the deities, the two ladies in particular, and they mean she and right up there you can see the goddess who's supporting right behind the ram, and you can see the journey on the boats. Right. Most of the work here retains back to the time of Caracalla, if you heard the name, and he was a Roman emperor. Now I want you to have a look where I'm going to point now. Get closer to me, please. We can see you will see that there's some frogs. Can you see that? Okay. On the capital of the columns, where I'm pointing with the light. This one. Stones. Can you see them? Right. Yes. According to the legend, that there were a lot of them during disturbing the priests, and during the crimes they came here. So that's why some of them were, the priests got rid of them using the magic, and since they had them on the capital, they never showed back. Over there.
We never saw frogs again?
Yeah. We had a defaced figure. Have a look over here. There was someone depicted behind this man, and we can see two cartouches here, remains of them. Can you see them? Up there? So there was someone here, his figure was defaced, and the cartouche was defaced. This was Caracalla, as a matter of fact. He was the second son after his parents. And his older brother, he was the one who was supposed to be the emperor. But he got rid of him. So what he did, that he defaced his own figure. I want you to notice the remains of these cartouches. You will find them exactly like these ones. So what he did, that he defaced his own figure. He defaced the name of his brother and of himself. Then he added his name above the figure of his brother. So he became the first one behind his parents. You got it?
Yes.
So in order to ascend the throne. Yes. Right. Any question?
Where are the signs of the zodiac again? Just
On the ceiling. On the ceiling. On the roof. Get closer.
I know what. Oh wow. The signs of the zodiac.
The signs of the zodiac.
Oh, yes, Sagittarius.
Can you see them? Can you find the tourists? This is called the Rakhit bird. The Rakhit. And the Rakhit was representing the subject, the people. They are raising their hands up. So wherever you go, that's the repeat. And the triangle shapes you will see always by the columns, they are representing the leaves of the plant. If you imagine the column is the plant and the leaves around it. So the triangle shape, these are the leaves of the plant, and that appeared during the pharaonic time before this one. The rooms we have here, they were for purification. Even the king, before he gets inside the temple, he got to be purified. But we can see, by the way, this temple, I said it's a small one. Tomorrow, inshallah, tomorrow morning, we're going to visit the most preserved, the most complete temple of ancient Egypt.
Oh, which one?
I mean the temple of Esna,
Ed-
that belongs to the god Horus. We have different Horuses.
Oh.
We
Okay.
have different, many. We have different Horuses, and the one we are going to visit tomorrow, Horus of Edfu, that's a very unique temple, and we'll find a room like this one. Over there, and these rooms, they were either for purification, and the other room was always used as a library. It's a big mistake to think of the ancient Egyptian temples as we think nowadays of synagogue or church or mosque. They were places for worshiping. They were schools. That's where the students were studying. And by the way, the libraries of these temples, they form the base of the library. Because what they did when the Greeks came, they collected all these books, what was kept inside the temples, they moved them to Alexandria, and they became the base for the library of Alexandria, that afterwards, even, by the way, one of the taxes that any ship was coming to Alexandria was to bring a new book. A new book to the library of Alexandria. Tomorrow, when we go to it, the library, we have there, Ptolemy III, the one who started the work over there, he said he depended on a plan designed by Imhotep, the famous architect of the step pyramid at Saqqara, that genius man. We have a library. He was depending on a map designed by him and took in 2700 BC. The ancient Egyptian, he had a library. With all respect to the other civilizations, and I mean it literally with all respect, but at that time, there were a lot of civilizations we know they were enjoying their Stone Age, while the ancient Egyptian, he had a library, right? And that's why they needed something to write on, and that's why it was the paper called papyrus. By the way, Egypt was extremely rich at that time because of the things. The gold, which was coming from Nubia land, and the papyrus. Plus, what we were, the Nile, right, had more branches than nowadays. Any question? Thank you very much.
So you may have answered this, but like the big picture view, like 50,000 foot.
Louder, please.
50,000 foot view. This purpose was just to talk about what's the main theme of everything.
It's for the deities
Yeah.
of Esna
Yeah.
and the Romans. Okay. Can I answer the question another way?
Please.
Why the Greeks and the Romans were building temples for Egyptian
Right.
deities?
I don't know.
They had their own deities.
Yes.
They were the conquerors, right? They were the winners. They were the ones who won, who invaded Egypt. And a general rule all over the history of the humanity, when a nation is invading another one, the invaded nation is always following, right? In India, They have more than 105 different languages. But if they want to speak one language, they are going to speak in
English.
That's an English influence. The invaders who came to Egypt, and Napoleon later on, towards the end of 18th century, he said no one could invade Egypt until Egypt invades him in his heart and in his mind.
So that's what they were doing.
Here, it wasn't the military power.
Yeah.
Here, it was a meeting between two civilizations. The strongest one would win. And we have three kinds of civilizations on Earth: scientific, religious, and military. Here it was based on their religion. The strongest motive for any person is his belief. You could find people killing themselves for what they believe in, whether they're right or wrong. I'm not discussing it, but for what they believe in. But why people do this for money, right? So here, it was which civilization is stronger? Civilization, not the military power, right? Here it was all. And that's why we have a unique case in Egypt, the influence of Egypt on the invaders,
Right.
not the other way around.
It was basically to pacify them. It was basically to pacify the Egyptians.
Alexander the Great was the first one to notice that the easiest gate he can pass through to the Egyptians was through or via their religion. That's the easiest way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So is that why Sekhmet is
Louder, please.
So is that why Sekhmet is outside?
That's not Sekhmet. As a matter of fact, she is in Korea. She's with the head of the shape looks
Yes, that's
like
like
Sekhmet, but she is not. She's not. As a matter of fact.
So that garden out there was by other statues?
Pardon?
That garden out there was other statues?
Some they were found here too, at the site.
Inside.
Yes, at the site. And sometimes if we find something around it, it's easier to move it to the temple because it would be, as you can see, protected by the antiquities police or by the inspectors.
So there's a spot right there. That makes sense.
You're welcome. Right?
Yes.
Shall we go back?
Yes.
You want some time or we go back? We go back? Yeah. Okay, Eden.
She's on the way back.
Outside.
Yeah, she's on the way back.